Hello, everyone. This is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there. Hello, everyone. This is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there.
My name is Richard Ferrer, and I can say I am cloud hired.
That yes, come and join and get cloud hired. I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
Hey, Go Cloud Architect family, I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired, guys.
So I'll just say I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired thanks to Go Cloud Architects.
It worked for me, and now I'm cloud hired.
Because of Google Architect program, I am cloud hired.
See!
I am cloud hired. Thank you, Mike and the Glow Cloud team.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of, well, I don't know if it's episode, but another session of our Cloud Career Q&A with us here at Go Cloud Careers. what we do here is we take any and all of your questions related to the cloud architect role, the cloud engineer role, any cloud career that you might be interested in learning a bit more about. We take any of your questions and hopefully get you on the right path here. So if you've got any questions like what is a cloud architect, or what is a cloud engineer, or what does a cloud architect do, or what type of cloud architect training or cloud engineer training do I need to reach my goal, we will help you. Don't be shy. Ask us your questions. That is what we are here for. I am Chris Johnson. I am the Chief Operating Officer here at Go Cloud Careers. I'm joined today by Mike Gibbs, our founder and CEO. Mike has an extensive history of working in cloud and networking and all things tech. He's worked at companies such as Cisco and Verizon and so many others. And he was beneficial enough to be able to retire in his 30s, and has since then has been mentoring and coaching others to reach their dream careers. So a couple of things that I want to make sure everybody is aware of. I see Colin's already put it in there, and I put the banner up a little early, but make sure to get your free AWS exam guide, and also make sure to go to our video course that we released a couple of weeks ago. Collins, if you'll put that, you put both of them in the link there. Perfect, great. So both of these were a labor of love by a lot of people, hundreds of people, and hundreds of years worth of experience went into both of these projects. And all of it is free for you to help you gain the technical knowledge related to AWS. We also present it in a way where you'll learn about the cloud in general, not just about AWS specific proprietary things. So make sure to get your free copy of our AWS exam guide and our free video course at the links that were provided by Collins there in the chat box. The next thing I want to make sure everybody is aware of is our free How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. It's a webinar that Mike and I and the rest of our team host every week to kind of explain to you what exactly you need to become a cloud architect. We talk about how we created our program, why we created our program, what hiring managers actually want, what cloud architects actually are, and how to deal with all the misinformation from HR and the job descriptions that are out there about the role. And then, of course, we spend time talking about what actually you need to know to be a successful cloud architect. And we tell you how we can help you do it or how you can do it on your own. So make sure to register for that. That's completely free to you on this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So at this time, I want to remind everybody that this is a Q&A session. So make sure to bring us your cloud career questions, your cloud training questions, and we will answer them. Mike, you got any words that you'd like to share before we get started?
Yes, it's Monday, and here's the thing. We can all conquer our dreams no matter what they are. I've helped countless people over the last 20 years get their first tech job. I've helped people selling shoes get their first cloud architect job. Waiters and waitresses get their first cloud architect job. Mental health techs get their first cloud architect job. Landscapers get their first cloud architect job, and other jobs as well. And here's the thing. If you believe in you and you have confidence in you and you do the right things, magical things can happen. But part of that is knowing the right direction to go. So please ask me questions. Believe me, in the last 25 years of being in tech and 20 years of coaching, I've seen every mistake people have made. I've helped correct people's mistakes and watch them achieve things that they never dreamed possible. So ask me your questions so I can guide you. That's why I'm here completely free, doing everything I can to help you. I want you all getting cloud hired. So ask me your questions and I'll do whatever I can to help you. But please don't be shy. Usually what happens is people wait till the end, then somebody asks questions, and then they all come pouring in before we run out of time. So bring us your questions. We all want to help you. That's why we do this as a service for the community. Love the cloud community. I love being in tech. And I know career transitions. I used to practice internal medicine, so I can help you. I know exactly what it's like. So bring me in some questions.
All right. So let's see here. We got, first of all, Bob Welch asked, "Hi, Mike. How are you feeling?"
Bob, my voice is, I'd say, 70% better. Bob is a wonderful alumni from our program. He's got a fantastic cloud security architect job, and we absolutely love Bob. Bob is always here as well. Sometimes I'll help answer your questions. We are just so proud of Bob, and he's an amazing, amazing architect. It was an honor and a privilege to get to know Bob and work with Bob, and I'm thrilled you're here. Not all there yet, Bob, but I'm here, and I'm excited to be back.
All right, so Funny Stuff says, "Hey there, first time here." Well, we are glad to have you here, Funny Stuff. Got a follow-up question from you. So I don't have any experience in tech or anything, but I think I might be interested in the cloud architect role. A friend of mine told me to come here.
Funny Stuff. If you want to become a cloud architect, we can get you there. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of things. On Thursday, we're going to have our How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar. It really should be called How to Become the Ultimate Cloud Architect, because our students do so well. You know, the average cloud architect salary right now is $199,000 a year, and our average graduates earn between $120 and $287, with I'd say the average somewhere around $160 for someone that's never worked in tech. We've been getting people architect jobs forever. I was one of the architects before architects even existed, back when they used to call us design engineer work, and then we became architects, and I've been an architect for more than 2 decades. So we can easily help you. Please join that free webinar. Please listen into the entire conversation. So many people misunderstand the architect role. They literally speaking, they think it's an engineering role, they think it's a DevOps role, they think it's a configuration role, and none of these things, realistically speaking, are what we do. So ask us your questions. I will save you years of wasted effort. I will teach you, if you ask the right questions, how to earn an extra $100,000 plus per year over the other architects. So ask us your questions so I can help change your career. But Funny Stuff, I'd be honored to work with you. Honored to work with you. And we would be thrilled for you to join our program.
All right, so let's see. Juan says, "Hello, everybody." Hello, Juan.
Juan.
Julius says, "Hi, I'm new here. I was aiming for architect, but I've done some hands-on on DevOps, and I enjoyed it. So now I can't decide architect, cloud engineer, or DevOps. Any advice on how I should choose?"
Julius, I'll give you a couple things to think about. Now, the first thing, as Mark Twain said, if you make your vacation your vocation, you'll never work a day in your life. And I used to work in healthcare. I used to practice internal medicine. And it was okay. And then I went into tech, worked 16-hour days, and it felt like it was my vacation. So you must do what you love. Now, I'm going to give you some statistics, facts, and figures, and some predictions on the job market, which is up to you. But you got to pick something you love. The first thing is that architects earn far more. I mean, there's architect jobs, and I can share the thing on the screen, I probably will today, that pay $800,000 a year. But as a cloud engineer, you'll never reach more than $175 a year. And as a DevOps engineer, you're going to be the same thing. So your salary and long-term career potential are sky high as an architect because of the business acumen, leadership skills, sales skills, executive presence, emotional intelligence, and communication skills for this job. You will earn far more and have greater career potential. But again, you have to do what you love. Now, what makes the architect job so special? And why do we get paid so much? And what's the difference between the 10x AWS certified person that's going to be poor versus the elite architect that get paid an incredible amount of money? Well, it really has to do a lot with what we do as architects. And what we do as architects is we meet the customer, we obtain business requirements. After we get the business requirements, we build a team of people, DevOps engineers, cloud engineers, security architects, IAM architects. We lead the team, we design, through the design, then we go back, we present it back to the customer with the account manager, we sell it back to the customer, we help negotiate a deal, and we get paid a lot for that. Now, because that architect is a human role that's built on relationships, they're the last to get laid off in a recession, and they're the most to be paid. Now, the reality is for a DevOps engineer, it doesn't matter if you're in Cambodia, Cameroon, Chicago, Cayman Islands. So when companies outsource, they're going to find the lowest cost of labor everywhere, because it's not like they're looking to exploit people. What they're looking to do is find lower cost of living. If I told you that you need to earn $416,000 just to have a house in San Francisco, and you'll still be dirt poor. Likewise, if I had 50,000 euros in my village in Greece, I'm a very rich man. So the key is 100,000 US dollars is equivalent to $28,000 in India. So a company has no reason now to hire a DevOps engineer or a cloud engineer in the US. Now, it gets worse than that. With things like ChatGPT, which can easily code, they can easily replace cloud engineers and DevOps engineers. They'll either be outsourced to lower parts of the world or they're replaced by AI, because AI can code. What can't AI do is it can't go to the CEO of a bank and ask them about their business requirements and then sell them $1 billion solution and build a team of hundreds of experts to put it together. So generally speaking, I recommend being on the business side of tech, like the cloud architect, for their future. But I got to tell you, if you love coding, DevOps is a great career. And if you like being hands-on in tech, the cloud engineer is still a great career. But if you're going to be a DevOps engineer, or if you're going to be a cloud engineer, I'm going to make this recommendation for you. Make sure you develop your business acumen, your leadership skills, your soft skills, your executive presence, your relationship building skills, and all of these critical skills. And that way, when you see engineering jobs going away, and it's just a matter of time before they go away, you can start moving towards the architect jobs. So, and there's other roles like distinguished engineers, which are $300,000 engineers, which really behave like architects. They're technical experts where architects are business and tech experts, and they go and they talk and they meet people and they help close deals. So, Julius, you can do what you love, but no matter what, if you're going to focus on any of these, focus on your people skills, focus on your sales skills. As the architect, that's what we do. Architects don't touch the technology. We don't code it. We don't configure it. We don't do Python, DevOps systems. None of that. That's not our jobs. We design, present, and sell. But if you're going to be in the cloud engineer or DevOps world, make sure you future-proof yourself so you don't get replaced by AI or outsourced to lower-cost parts of the world, which I think is going to happen for the engineering side, not the architecture side. We had a great engineering program, and we're making sure that our engineers are going to get the best jobs in the world. But we stopped selling it because I don't want to push these careers, because I think in the future there's very limited things. And at Go Cloud Careers, we're only about building the most elite careers and helping our people get the highest salaries. So our engineers are also the ones that we train. We're trained in all these leadership things, just like an architect, so they can go back and forth either way. Great question. But you got to do what you love.
All right. So our next question is from Juan. It says, hi, I was watching the CCNA course as a sort of prerequisite. How important is it to know how to configure the devices to the Cloud Architect program, or is it better to understand the concepts? Thanks.
Great question, Juan. And here's the thing. Architects don't configure ever. The only technology we'll ever touch in our life is Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Excel, and a drawing program, and a web browser, and an email client. We don't configure anything. Now, at the same time, network engineers are very, very easy to transition into the cloud, and here's the reason why. The cloud is nothing more than a network in a data center that's been virtualized. Nothing more. It's all the same. So that's good. So, Juan, what's really important? IP addressing, subnetting, and supernetting. I covered some of that in there. A little bit of OSPF. You probably should know some interior gateway protocols. NAT, one-to-one NAT, one-to-many NAT, static, dynamic, .pat, which I covered in the CCNA, which is quite good. I covered VLANs and VLAN tagging and VLAN trunking in there, so that's good knowledge for you to understand. I did a little bit of ARP and proxy ARP kind of things in there. I think I covered a little DNS, so I covered the concepts. Why did I do any configuring? For people that wanted to be a network admin or junior level engineer. Bless you, Chris.
Sorry, I thought I muted myself.
It's okay, we all sneeze. My cat does it too. And my wife's just sneezing like crazy right now. So the point is it's not what we do as architects. I want you to learn the concepts if you desire to be an architect, but architects don't touch the technology. And Juan, that's why these AWS certifications are slightly better than worthless for architects, because they teach you the name of a service, a proprietary service, and how to configure that service. But architects don't configure. And guess what? We also don't use proprietary names. And that's why when we do free AWS training or free Azure training, I'll even tell you when we do it, hey, this DynamoDB thing, don't use it, because you can't do multi-cloud with this. It's proprietary, don't do this. But I also tell you what it is and how it works, and I give you substitutes to kind of make sure. So concepts only for the architect one. But make sure you know those concepts. Because it would be more a cloud architect thing that I would ask you, hey, you've got 2 equal cost direct connections to AWS. How could you load share without getting out of order packets? Now that's heavy BGP knowledge, which you need to understand. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Design, present, and sell. No hands-on ever. Great question. Chris, we can go to the next one.
Okay, so let's see here. One as a follow-up. Mike, I've heard you're Greek. Do you have any tips to better your English pronunciations, especially when talking to clients?
Juan, I have an accent wherever I go. When I go to Spain or Panama and I say doble derecha, I've got an accent, an American accent. And when I go to Greece and I say yasa dikanis to my family, which means hello and how are you, I still have an accent. So the reality is having an accent is fine. That's never a problem. But having a poor grasp of the language is a problem. In fact, Juan, when I say to people that are Americans and I say close the lights instead of shut the lights off, the only people that understand me are immigrants, and Americans look at me like I have 4 heads. So, here's the key. I grew up basically in America, spent a lot of time in Greece. My family's completely from Greece, so for me it wasn't an issue. But when I go to Greece, I've got an accent, and guess what? I taught at Athens University for a weekend too and loved it. But wherever I go, I have an accent, and it really doesn't matter. So embrace your accent. It's part of you. It's who you're from, and it's totally, totally, totally fine. Just work on your grammar to make sure it's as close to perfect as possible, and you'll be good to go. Everybody has an accent. I got Anselm, who's part of my team right now, and he's in Cameroon. I've got Collins, who's here. He's on part of my team. He's about as cool as James Bond. In fact, I call him Mr. Bond because he's so darn cool. He's got an accent because he's from Nigeria. So guess what? We all have an accent. I've got a Philadelphia accent. Chris has got a Mississippi accent. It doesn't matter. Just be you. Just make sure your grammar's good.
All right, let's see. Our next question. Hi, Mike. I'm new here. Can you please advise me on how can I become a senior network engineer? I've started learning network and find it interesting. What road should I take?
So good. I've got a little bit of experience here. My first tech job was a senior network engineer. My CCIE number is 7417, back when it was a challenging 2-day exam before Cisco made it easy. So the key, Sagunjay, to be a good network engineer is to focus on the network. Now you got to figure out which part of the network, and it's the same thing for every career. I'm a routing and switching guy. That's what I like. So the key is, what kind of networking do you want to do? And I can guide you to that. But if it's routing and switching like me, the key is to really, really, really understand how it works. For example, I'm a routing and switching person. I've never made an Ethernet cable in my entire life. I've never done that kind of thing. But I've designed, since my first day, the biggest networks in the world. The largest banks were my clients. The largest healthcare organizations were my clients. And the largest internet service providers in the world were my clients. So the key is, what kind of a network engineer do you want to be? If you want to be a routing and switching person like me, master IP addressing, subnetting, and supernetting. Master switching, which means VLANs, VLAN tagging, VLAN trunking, that sort of thing. Master how that stuff works. Not how to configure it, that's nothing. How does it work? Master OSPF. I want you to know that, for example, and I'm going to get a little geeky just for a second, and I'm going to get off of it, that you've got type 1 LSAs, for example, which are generated by the router, type 2 LSAs, for example, that are generated by the designated router, type 3 LSAs, which are generated by the area border routers, where LSAs exchange between areas, type 4 LSAs, which are exchanged between, which basically, how does it reach the autonomous system border router, or something that goes to an external network, type 5 LSAs that are generated from external things. And then understand how that works in your head, and then understand how you can tune it. I got geeky for a reason, because the senior network engineer may not be configuring all that much, but they have to know how to engineer it. So make sure you master that. Make sure you master BGP, and sure, learn how to configure it, but it's more about how do you tune it? Do you prepend the AS? Do you change the weight, for example? Do you change the local preference? Are you setting a community? So make sure you understand those things. Now, for network engineers in today's world, they actually do a little Python. So you probably need to do a little bit of Python. But here's what I caution you against, Agunjay, and it's a great job. Focus, focus, focus on the main things. For example, I'm not a voice over IP person. I'm not a wireless person. I'm a routing and switching person. Because if I told you to learn all areas of networking, it would probably take you at least 500 years. So figure out exactly what you want to do. And if you ask me, I can tell you that. And then you'll be fine. But master, master, master the kind of network engineer you want, and you'll be great. Now, I will tell you that the CCNP is kind of like your introductory level ticket. I view the Cisco Certified Internet Expert was my intro to networking. I did the CCNP as my intro, and the CCDP as my intro. So, but, kind of keep this. The reality is, be great at whatever you take. Be great at it. I've got a phenomenal network engineer on my team. He's one of my instructors. His name is Benedict. He's from Nigeria. He just moved to Canada. And I was going to have him teach in my cloud engineering programs. But the first thing I said, are you a hardcore network engineer, or are you kind of one of those people that does a little sysadmin this? Do you know Linux? He said, no, I know this. I said, have you done Python? He says, no, I do routing and switching. He was just like me. He was a rock star. And he got hired in about 2 days in Canada after he moved to the US from Nigeria. So be great. Focus on your one thing, and you'll be rock star. If you tell me more about what kind of engineer, you'll be in good shape. I'll give you more.
All right. Let's see. So our next one, Bob has some nice words for us. Bob says, I am honored to be a member of the Go Cloud Careers family and will always be happy to speak with anyone to help guide you through your journey to this life-changing program. Thank you, Bob. That's what this is all about. See, Bob has the same thing that drives us here at Go Cloud Careers. It's the same thing that drives the people in our program, seeing other people succeed and helping others reach their goals. So thank you for that, Bob. Really appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Bob. Honestly, it was such a privilege to get to know you, and you embody everything of Go Cloud Careers. You worked with others, they worked with you. That's everything we want.
All right, so let's see. CC Lemon says, which career path is better in the future? Software engineer, network engineer, Web3 engineer, cloud engineer? Will ChatGPT, will ChatGPT, I guess that is what will ChatGPT?
I know what he's asking.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you one thing. I would not focus on software engineering for any reason whatsoever. We don't even know if Web 3.0 is going to make it. The cryptocurrency markets collapsed. Facebook, lost $15 billion in a single quarter on, Meta and the metaverse. Notice they're not talking about it so much. So anymore, it drove the stock so low that investors were complaining. So I don't even know what Web3 is going to be or not be. Now, I'll say this. I really strongly believe ChatGPT and other AI things are going to take away all those coding jobs. And the jobs that won't be taken away, and there still needs to be some things that are senior people, I would outsource them. Why shouldn't a company outsource them? See, here's the thing. If I limit myself to the United States, I've got 300 million people, 325 max. But not everybody can do the job. There's 1 billion plus people in India. There's 1 billion plus people in China. There's over 1 billion people in Africa. Right there, that's 10 times the population of the US. Do you know, CC Lemon, you can buy a brand new house in Cameroon for $24,000? But to buy a mediocre house that's not as nice in San Francisco, it's $1.49 million. So the salaries that an employer can pay someone to live in a lower cost living area where the person becomes rich is much lower. And the reality is, if you paid me 75,000 euros in my village in Greece, I'm a rich man. But when I lived in New Jersey, and you're dealing with $30,000 of real estate taxes for a shoebox, and 35% federal income tax, and 13% state tax, or 10% tax, that can eat up your salary, and you're still poor on a good salary. So CC Lemon, I wouldn't waste my time in software engineering. I would throw away web engineer. I think ChatGPT and or other AI tools will do this. Now, network engineering is kind of special. And here's the reason it's special. There's two parts of network engineering. There's the design component, and then there's the configuration component. Those network admins, the configure stuff, dead, gone, no need for them anymore. But a true network engineer really needs to get involved in stakeholder management and asking things. And that's why there were 3 grades of network engineers. And CC Lemon, I'll give you an example. When I worked in network engineering, I knew network engineers and still know network engineers that are being paid $500,000 a year, and I know network engineers that are earning $60,000, even today in the US. What's the difference? Well, some have people skills. Some go and work in a sales capacity. Some were distinguished engineers. Some of them know so much about so little that AI can't replace that because it's judgment factors. Now, for example, the people that just configure stuff, I can replace that and swap that for $1,000 a month somewhere else in the world and get a really good, strong person. And guess what else I can do in other parts of the world? I can have somebody write some Python code and get a couple of GPUs and mine stuff and figure stuff out, hire some data scientists and replace all the admin. So deep network engineering, I think there's an option. Cloud engineering, I still think ChatGPT and other forms of AI are going to take that down. So if you want to be an engineer of any kind, make sure you're like the engineers that I train. Focus on your sales skills, your leadership skills, your team building skills, your executive presence, your emotional intelligence. Don't waste your time on low value things like certifications. Learn the depth of how do these pieces and parts work together. Like in the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional, they'll tell you a little bit about S3 and how to configure it. That's worthless knowledge. What real knowledge is, how does object storage work? How do you architect it? What do you do with the metadata? How do you integrate it into a big data environment? What are its strengths and weaknesses? Where are its security flaws? Why can you use it for some things and not others? That's real engineering. So if you're going to stay on the engineering side, and I love engineers, and without engineers, there's nothing, make sure you focus on the big stuff, the depth of your knowledge. Don't get 10x AWS certified. Don't get your training and certification. Learn the tech. How does the tech work? Why do we use it? And all the critical depth. And then CC Lemon, you'll have a very good engineering job. But separate yourself. Don't be a jack of all trades and a master of none. Become deep, deep, deep. And here's the difference. Let me describe deep. Doctors are kind of like engineers and architects combined in the same person. I trained internal medicine, which is basically the coordinator of care. Somebody comes and visits me and I say, oh, you got some neuropathic pain, go see the neurologist. You got some bone pain, go see the orthopedic surgeon. You got arthritis, go see the rheumatologist. You've got diabetes, go see the endocrinologist. Okay? Now, an internal medicine person gets paid $200,000 a year. By comparison, the specialist with deep knowledge, like I'm talking to you about, I know a physician that, literally speaking, does 5 knee surgeries for $20,000 cash each day. It's $100,000 a day. In 2 days, he earns more than a physician that works 16 hours a day, and he works less hours because he's a specialist and he focused on depth. So if you're going to do engineering, get deep, 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 and then focus on those business skills that I have, and you'll always have a job. But just don't do the low value stuff like a million certifications.
All right. So Julius says, so far I have an AWS Solution Architect Associate. You recommend I have at least a Solution Architect Professional? Yes. Should I complete that before joining your course? No. So just to give Mike a break here for a few minutes, I'll attempt to answer this question, and then we'll let Mike clean up my mess that I make. So the reason that we recommend a Solution Architect Professional is because we recommend only one cloud service provider certification, and at that, only the top one. So if you've already got the associate and you get the professional, great. When we're working on your resume and working on your branding and everything, we're only going to be showcasing the one. So it's not bad that you already have the associate. It's not going to be showcased. We showcase it now while that's what you got, but once you get the professional, of course, you won't showcase that. Now, the emphasis that we make there, you picked up on that emphasis, is because what we find a lot of people doing is they'll get that associate architect, and then they'll go get the associate this, the associate that, the associate over here, the associate that works on fire trucks, and the associate that works on airplanes, and it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. So that's why we recommend only that professional. And now, should I complete that before joining your course? No, because at the end of the day, what matters is the competency and the actual knowledge that you have. The certification itself doesn't portray that knowledge. It's a poor attempt at doing that. But we don't recommend you delaying enrolling in our program or anything just for the sake of getting a paper certification or digital certification these days. You can be, it will just delay your growth, however long it takes for you to get that certification, because that certification and the knowledge that you get just for preparing for the certification isn't going to be enough to do the job. So you'll just be delaying yourself. So let's say it takes you a month to prepare for the certification and you get the certification. That's a month that you've only been preparing for that, and it doesn't help with your career. While if you had enrolled in the program or been doing appropriate development and training on your own, but most likely that's going to be hard to figure out. But if you have been doing our program, you would have not lost a month. You would have been learning real competency and appropriate knowledge to prepare you for the career. So I would not suggest waiting. That's why we don't have prerequisites for our program, specifically because of, in our experience, people that have only the certifications take more work because they've already gone down that path of getting the certification knowledge, and kind of we have to undo some of the damage, so to speak, from just the certification knowledge. So, because it's not applicable knowledge to the role of an architect. So I'll let Mike chime in now. Yeah, just trying to give him a break there from the.
And thanks for that, Chris. I'm going to tell you first why you should never get certified first. The average cloud architect earns $800 a day or $16,000 a month. So if you waste 2 months of training to do this certification, you lost $32,000 on average. The second reason is as follows. Robert Welch has got a great job, and I know how good his job is, and he has a cloud practitioner. Delray Batt got hired with 0 certifications in our program. And I've got to tell you, every day we've got students that have no certifications or cloud practitioners, or even the Solutions Architect Associate on our program, get hired while they're in our program before they even complete the certification. Now, we recommend the Solutions Architect Professional in our program for the following reason. It does help your brand and it helps you get an interview. But if you learn it from us, you'll be able to pass that exam like nothing. And it'll be nothing. But if you do it first and you don't understand the underlying technology, it's going to be hard work. I mean, really hard work. So first, you can do it in a no big deal environment with the right training like we provide. Plus, we provide the training for it in our course anyway. And then 2, I want to see you hired 2 months quicker. And that could be an additional $32,000 for you, which if our course is $1,000, that's 32 times return on your investment. So when it comes to investing, time is money. And as a cloud architect, you're going to be advising your customers how to do things and how to do things faster. So get trained as fast as possible. And heck, if you get hired while you're in our program and you want to go, your employer can send you to a week's worth of training where it'll be a 5-day boot camp with a real organization. You could get real training from Amazon or Global Knowledge, and they'll spend the $5,000. It'll be a 1-week thing, and you'll be done with it. And that way you're not doing the silly nonsense of those like name of the service, how to configure those services, watch voiceover slideshow presentations, because that's not going to help you with anything. That's why I would make that recommendation. Because time is money, and I want you to be as wealthy as possible, as fast as possible. And I want you to get hired as fast as possible.
All right, so Craig Daniel. I can't help but think of James Bond when I see that, Daniel Craig.
I was thinking that too.
But it says, still haven't started the course yet. Paid for it 5 months ago, wondering if I can start mid-January. So we say that your access to the course starts when you first access the course. So if you haven't accessed it, then it starts when you start. So it's the access to the on-demand content and our training dashboard and our training portal is indefinite. I think indefinite is the right word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Infinity and beyond. Anyway, but the access to the live classes is for 1 month, 1 year. So if you haven't attended your first live class, then it starts when you attend your first live class. That 1 year access. So, of course, we understand that there's extenuating circumstances and life adjustments, life changes, things that happen. So we are available for you to reach out to us should we need to take that any further. But if you haven't actually accessed a live class, then your counter hasn't started yet. That's the only counter that starts. The rest of the stuff has no limit, has no time limit. So if you start in mid-January, great. If you start today, great. If you start in February, great. We just want to help you reach your goal as quick as possible. So that's what we're here for.
So to end that, please just start.
Yeah.
You bought it. I want you to get hired. That's
Yep.
the biggest concern of Chris and me. Just start. If it's mid-January, fine. If it's February, fine. I don't care. Just start. Just finish. So we can say you're cloud hired, because that's what we dream about every day is when our students get cloud hired. And we celebrate it every night when somebody does.
And let's talk about this a little bit further. Craig, I'm only using your question to set up a hypothetical situation. So what I'm about to set up is a hypothetical situation. It's not your situation, not meant to be your situation. So let's say hypothetically somebody is working multiple jobs and taking care of a sick family member. They don't have a lot of time. We understand. That's why we designed the program that we do. There's many situations where people don't have lots of time. The big thing that we need to focus on is the management of that time. So if you're able to dedicate 30 minutes a week, even only 30 minutes a week, at any point during those 7 days, you can dedicate 30 minutes. Over the course of 5 months, that's during a 4-week period, that would be 2 hours. So that 5 times, that would be 10 hours worth of training, at least 10 hours worth of training over the course of 5 months that someone might have been able to dedicate at only 30 minutes every 7 days. So we got to just look at it from an elephant and the eating the elephant standpoint. You don't eat the elephant all in one bite. You don't eat a steak all in one bite. You don't eat a salad all in one bite. You take bites, single bites that are proportionate to be able to fit on a fork or a utensil and go in your mouth. You can't do it all at once. So again, I'm not sure what your particular situation is, but if you can dedicate 30 minutes a week, or if you can dedicate an hour a week, or somebody that might be able to do an hour every 2 days, that's the key. You don't have to look at it as this big thing that you got to do. It's a culmination of all your efforts. So again, just hypothetical situation, somebody that's been waiting for 5 months, if they had dedicated 30 minutes a week per week over those 5 months, they might have had 10 hours worth of practice and development and learning. And being part of a community, that's another key part, because you'd be surprised how much that community will make you stick to that 30 minutes a week. If you tell people in the community, hey, I'm doing 30 minutes a week, somebody will randomly pop up and say, hey, 4 weeks later, what you been doing? You've been doing your 30 minutes a week? So I just wanted to add that in there. Trent's, they had I saw something from them that says they're completely new. So please understand I'm completely new to this.
That's okay.
There's no particular coding language involved.
Trends. Architects do not code. They don't configure, they don't touch the technology. It became so misunderstood that, literally speaking, Trent, me and all my enterprise architect buddies, we would literally get together. They'd show some wacky job descriptions. We would drink Macallan 25, our favorite scotch, and we would pour through these things and say, I don't know what this is. Do you want to know how bad it actually became? It became so bad that industry groups like Gartner actually decided to start asking the chief information officer, your boss, what do you want in a cloud architect? And here's what they said. Someone that can lead the cultural change for cloud adoption. Someone that can develop and coordinate, that means design and cloud architecture. Someone that can develop a cloud strategy and coordinate the adoption process. Someone that can help find talent with the necessary skills. Someone who can assess the business applications like ERP systems, CRM systems, software and hardware. Someone to create a cloud broker team, that team that I talked about to kind of do these things. Establish best practices for the cloud across the company. Select cloud providers. Do I use AWS and Azure, those kind of things. Oversee governance, meaning manage the thing. Work closely with the security people to monitor privacy and develop incident response procedures, manage budgets, and estimate costs, and operate at scale. We don't touch the technology, not ever. In fact, I've got another video on Cloud Architect on Code, which I'm going to release this week, but there's no coding language. Parents, it doesn't matter if you're brand new. Ivan Tamba was a wonderful waiter from Cameroon who's working at AWS. Coyote, I'm pretty sure he was Cameroonian as well, was our student, first tech job, AWS as a solution architect. And not associate solution architect, a full solution architect. Jennifer was a mental health tech, now working as a solution architect. Dilroy Batt, my good friend, he's kind of like the kid I always wanted to visit me in Florida. He was an emergency medical technician on an ambulance, now working as a cloud security architect. Daniel Bosu, boy, I love that guy. He has 2 new cats. He knows I like cats, and he was showing me pictures of his cats the other day. He's working at JP Morgan Chase. His last job was working at Nordstrom, and guess what? He didn't even graduate high school. Now, I'm not saying that as a negative way. I'm saying it in a positive way. Even with all that, he became a solution architect with no experience. Jeffrey West was a geologist, geospatial imaging guy, got his first cloud architect job. But there is absolutely zero coding in here. And the reason you'll be fine is because if I go interview 1,000 people with 30 years experience in all these engineering roles and I ask them how to design something, they have no idea. They know how to code and configure. And that's not that. So you can do any job you want. You know, I'm going to put, while we're at it, I'm going to pop 4 videos real quick in the window. These are some people that were our students that never worked in tech in their entire life, but we got their first tech job. I'm not really coordinated economy, these things, but I have a couple of them that were sitting on my desktop because somebody asked me this morning for it. And I'm like, no, don't worry about a silly job description. I've never had more than 10% of what's on a job description. On my first tech job, everybody said, you can't be a network engineer. You need 10 years network admin experience or help desk for that. And guess what I had? 0. And I went to interview for a network engineer job, and I got promoted to senior network engineer on the interview. So there are some people that are examples right there.
All right, so let's move on. I'm not sure what Brian is actually asking here, Mike, but I'm sure you have some words of guidance. Just lost my job. I feel like I want all areas of master.
Brian, I'm so sorry to hear about your job loss, but you can't master all areas. You can't master everything. You can only be good at one thing. Here's what a master is, or an expert. Someone that has at least 10,000 hours in a small, tiny area. Do you know I have 10,000 hours of BGP experience? Just BGP. Just BGP. I'm a BGP expert. Now, if I tried to master all areas of networking, unless I became a vampire and could live 300 years, I couldn't master all 300 years of networking, and I wouldn't try. In fact, when I worked at Cisco, Brian, somebody gave me the world's largest, most strategic voice over IP project. And they said, Mike, it's on you. And I said to my manager, you know I don't know anything about voice. And you know what he said to me? He says, you got really good leadership skills. You got great soft skills, all that emotional intelligence, and you've got strong fundamentals. Go build a team. If I told you I closed the biggest, most strategic voice over IP deal as the lead architect with something that wasn't even my skill, because I brought the best and brightest minds together. The key is you can only be great at one thing. What do you want to be, Brian? You become great at that, you'll be hired. And you'll be hired for the best jobs. See, that's why people with experience are hard to get them hired, because many people frittered themselves away, got 1,000,001 certifications, and know a little bit about a lot of people's jobs. That's a hobbyist. I need somebody that's good. So tell me what you want. I can tell you what you need to learn, but you can't learn everything.
All right. So just to let everybody know, we are coming up to the end. So we're going to be wrapping up. We'll be taking the questions that have already come in the chat box. But we can't go forever, unfortunately. But we will be back again later this week.
Yes,
So
we
make
will.
sure to join us. So some quick fire answers, Mike. These are going to be 30 seconds or less answers for you. Where do you see the cloud in the next decade?
Reggie, I think what we're going to see is where we predicted in the past. So 2 years ago, I told everybody, if you're not hybrid cloud or hybrid multi-cloud, there's nothing. Initially, people were like, that's not the case. Well, now I got to tell you, 2 years later, 81% of customers are multi-cloud. And guess what? The US government just offered $9 billion for a multi-cloud architecture that's using AWS, Azure, Google, and Oracle. So I think you're going to see a couple of things. You're going to see a lot more private clouds. And here's the reason, Reggie. You know, if I wanted to do certain things on the cloud, they're literally 10 times more expensive than they are on the data center. And some things the cloud just can't do as well when it comes to performance or latency. But at the same time, the scalability and the agility of the cloud, well, that's there. And since it never makes sense to put all your eggs in one basket, you're going to see multi-cloud. So everything's multi-cloud. Everything's going to be hybrid cloud, multi-cloud, and you're going to see everything go cloud in some way, shape, or form. Private clouds or public clouds. So huge, huge, huge things, Reggie. It's a fantastic question.
All right, CC Lemon says, do you know, again, these are quick fire, do you know any cloud architect which don't like their job or burn out?
I know many cloud engineers that are burned out beyond their belief, but architects as a rule, because they spend so much of your time entertaining clients and so much of the time getting great steaks and scotch and wine at really nice places, traveling to nice places because you're going to places to meet the executives at these nice places to really design something for them and present it back. So I know few that really get burned out, but it's how you choose to live your life. I mean, any career, if you don't like it, you'll get burned out. But CC Lemon, here's the people that get burned out. The people that focus on the tech and focus on the certification instead of the digital transformation, and here's the reason why. If you focus on becoming a techie architect, they're going to treat you like an engineer, and you're going to work long hours for low pay. If you focus on the business side, you're going to have a much better life. And that's why we're so big on business skills, soft skills, executive presence, communication skills, because I want my students and graduates to have the best career. So anybody can burn out in any job, but to be fair, I don't know anybody that doesn't love it. Delroy Back calls me every day and says, oh my God, this is the best job I've ever had. I can't believe people pay me for this. And that's how I felt when I shifted from engineering to architecture.
All right, so Sagun says, does your training develop all the skills such as emotional intelligence, people skills, team building, etc.? Well, I'll learn about interview skills. Yes,
Of course.
yes, yes, and yes.
Not
Yes.
only will we teach you that, Sagun Jai, we'll even teach you how to negotiate a higher salary and how to build your resume and everything. You know, truth be told, I put together everything that everybody needed, and I knew most people couldn't afford the training. So we decided to put something that was worth 50 times more into a small package that anybody could afford. And of course, you'll get all of that.
Giovanni says, do you guys have a network course, cloud-related, fundamentals to advance?
It's part of our Cloud Architect Career Development Program, Giovanni.
All
We
right.
cover all of it in depth.
Brian's not really asking full questions, so I'm making assumptions
I
here.
actually think I saw his question in there.
Yeah,
I think he's asking how to pay from Africa. I think I saw something like that come in there earlier.
Yeah, so they're not complete sentences, so that's an assumption on our part. Payment from Africa.
So credit card, and if that doesn't work in your country, PayPal is typically what we're using as a backup. We've got a tremendous number of students in Africa, and actually, we've got people in Nigeria right now, South Africa, and Cameroon that are part of our team. So it can be done.
Julia says, will it be 12 months to accomplish? It's depends on the person. I mean, average is 8 months or give or take. but depending on the person, how much they already bring, how much competency they already have in the particular area, or how little competency they have in the particular area, how much time they have to be able to dedicate to the training, how they learn. Everybody learns differently. There's all kinds of factors, obligations or commitments that they have, things that come up in life that take them off track. So I feel safe saying yes.
Yeah.
But everyone's different. So our average is about 8 months, give or take.
And if there's a real reason that you can't, we work around those things. Like I had someone that had to go to Ethiopia for 6 months, or someone that had to go to India for a while. And, they sent us a message. We brought them back in the program. We worked it out. So you have enough time to get hired if you do all the work.
All right. All right, so we got one last question here, and then we will be finished. So from Manu, how are new students trained? How do you merge old and new students? If a new student joins, does he start with saved videos? How is a new student lectured? So this will be our last question. We'll let Mike answer this, and then we will wrap up for the day.
And I'm going to answer this that we designed it intentionally to mix everybody together. So as soon as you sign up, our students get a welcome email, which has got very critical information. And they begin the self-paced parts of the course, from telling us who they are, to learning the basic fundamentals of the technology, to building their career plan. That's all done in their own time. Now, the students to join our course can also see the last year and a half worth of training too, every single class if they want to go back and watch it. And some of our students, the most motivated, do that. And boy, they're really great. But what happens is we run each class, and the live classes stand alone. So for example, let's say next week I'll be reviewing architectures that the students designed together. They were broken down into teams. We've got senior people, medium people, and junior people all on the same team. And guess what? The senior people lead it, the medium people help, and the new people watch and learn. Try not to get too overwhelmed. And then the senior people get hired, the medium people, the new junior people are now medium people, and there's a new batch in there. And everybody works together until the people are hired. We designed it this way intentionally. You know why? I come from healthcare and martial arts. And in a martial arts class, you've got a black belt and a white belt all in the same class. And everybody works together, and that's how you get better. I also come from medicine, and guess what? You got your interns, first-year residents, second-year residents, third-year residents, and fourth-year residents all working together, along with the attending physicians. So we modeled this after how you train the best and most elite people in the world. And why do we do it this way? Look, there's plenty of programs that charge $30,000 out there that basically take you in, and 16 weeks later, they kick you out as if they don't care about you, and then you're never going to get a job, and you're done, and you spend a fortune. By doing it this way, I can let you stay in your program for up to a year until you're hired. And by doing that, I can know that everybody that does our course, as long as they follow the work, has the opportunity to be hired. So that's why we do it. We put them all in a group, and we work together just like a family. And guess what? In the real world, when you go join an AWS, an Azure, or Google, and Nutanix, and IBM, guess what? You're going to be people with 20 years experience and people with 2 days experience that you work with. So we train exactly the way we work, and we do that with intentionally.
All right. Well,
and all of our students are competent enough to get hired.
All right. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And again, we will be back here later this week. I also want to remind everybody about our free How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar on this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Colin's put the link there in the chat box. So make sure to click that link there and join us this Thursday for our free How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar. Also want to remind everybody about our free AWS exam guide and free AWS video course. You can get your access to that by clicking the link in the description and in the chat box as well. These are free resources to you to help you on your path to becoming certified on AWS and learning about the AWS offerings. So make sure to take advantage of that. So again, thank you, everybody. I hope you had a good day, And if you didn't get your questions answered, just join us next time and we'll answer them again. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.